So Tim, how many people were you able to help get out of Afghanistan?
10,000.
Wow. And to those at home worried about, were they vetted? Do we need to worry about those folks, not all being the good guys? We hope they are. What say you?
Yeah. Yeah. So our vetting process was, the complexity of it was almost as complex as a cipher. So not only did you have to have all levels of Department of State approval, through the different visa processes, they had SIV processes, green cards, dual citizenships, every way that you could possibly go through. But additionally, we also had this internal vetting process. Like, I'm not going to get into the tradecraft of it, but you specifically had to have somebody vouch for you and have supporting documents that would then corroborate that. And then there was about this 3 or 4 step process to be able to ensure that the person that we finally met up with, to bring them on base, to put them on an airplane and then fly them to a place. And that place that we flew them to is a holding pattern that we still have control of them while they're there, and we continue to vet them. So yeah, these are extraordinary people that sacrificed more than you can possibly. They walked to the airport and fought like layer after layer, checkpoint after checkpoint of the Taliban with nothing but a single bag, usually of a little bit of money and a little bit of food and water. They left everything behind.
The news today, which really shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone given the admissions by people like General Milley and our Secretary of Defense, Austin, is from the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy. And this assessment is as follows, quote, the current intelligence assessment is that ISIS-K could develop the capacity to plan and carry out global attacks from Afghanistan within 6 to 12 months. 6 to 12, that's the lowest I've seen it. Milley said 12 to 18, I think. They say, it goes on, the Al-Qaeda branch there could have the same capability within 1 to 2 years. U.S. forces need to build out more capability, so we're not just relying on facilities we have in the Arabian Gulf. Call says the closest major U.S. facilities in Qatar and Bahrain are more than 1,500 flight miles away, and we have not secured firm basing agreements with any of Afghanistan's direct neighbors. So we got out precipitously. We don't have the capability to access as quickly or as well as we'd like. And ISIS-K within 6 months now could be planning and carrying out attacks on the homeland, which was kind of one of the main reasons to be fighting in Afghanistan the past 20 years to begin with. Your thoughts on that warning?
First is a vernacular clarification. It's the ISIS-K are the Taliban.
Yep.
They want to differentiate between the two. The Taliban wants everyone to recognize ISIS-K as a separate organization so that they can have the convenience of playing the blame game, where it's like, oh, no, that wasn't us. We didn't blow up the Abbey Gate. That was ISIS-K. When you look at the founding members and the current members of ISIS-K, and you're like, wait a second, I know those faces. Those are all Taliban guys. So it's one and the same. It's if it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck. It's a freaking duck. And terrorist organizations, whether it be the Taliban, Al Qaeda, or ISIS-K, they're still the exact same people with the same motivations and the same goals, which is the fall of the United States and its allies. So we can say ISIS-K, Taliban, and Al Qaeda because they all have the same goal and the same purpose. Not surprising. And I think that estimate is very generous. So we know that they have the intent. They've had the intent always. Nothing's ever changed. And one of the great things about the war on terror and about us being in Afghanistan is we kept them at bay. We kept them on their heels, fighting us in Afghanistan. Well, and for 20 years, they unsuccessfully ever were able to lob an attack against us. Well, now we have to make sure that remains the same. And how we're going to do it while we're not in Afghanistan, that's yet to be determined. But we cannot give them the opportunity to aid and assist terrorist elements and groups that want to see our destruction. So
it's happening. The same organization we were told, we were supposed to be trusting their word and we're going to deal with them diplomatically. The news broke this week that they had reportedly beheaded a young girl on the volleyball team over there, and that they posted the pictures online. This is not an organization with which we can deal diplomatically or in whose word we can trust, or really that we should be. All the messaging about them got changed as if they were some sort of, international diplomat that we could do business with at an arm's length basis. And I every day you get another horrific report out of Afghanistan about what they're doing.
Yeah, thousands. You said a girl was beheaded. It's thousands of girls have been beheaded by the Taliban since the fall of Afghanistan. And honestly, beheading would be the best thing that could happen to these dissidents, as they would be called by the Taliban. The Taliban, they're thugs. They're
You're
murderers,
saying
they're
since we
terrorists,
pulled
they're
out,
rapists.
thousands of girls have been beheaded by the Taliban?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you mean? I mean, honestly, I'm just genuinely curious where you're getting that information, because I realize not everything makes the newspaper, but I haven't seen that.
Yeah. So what we have. So I'm on the board of Save Our Allies, which is the organization that I worked for as a volunteer during the Afghan evacuation, and we have a few goals. One is to make sure the people that we brought out of Afghanistan are settled humanely in an dignified way in their new permanent home. But we still have ongoing operations throughout the region, trying to help American citizens and people that have the appropriate government clearance to be extracted out of Afghanistan. And so what we have is daily situational reports, sit reps on what is happening there. And I couldn't even give you a real number in the thousands of how many people have been executed by the Taliban since this started. We'll say mid-August. Yeah, that's a really low number. You're acting surprised. I mean, we're talking dozens a day. They're going door to door trying to find information about people that work for the American government. And if they find them, or if you find that you have, we want printed copies of the SIV process that you're going through. We want, physical proof of what you did for the American government for us to be able to get you out. Well, guess what? So is the Taliban. They're looking for that exact same stuff. We're trying to find it so we can vet it and we can bring you out and find you a dignified home and get you out safely and save you from the Taliban because you did such great service for our country. The Taliban wants it so they can have an excuse to stone you to death or burn you alive or to rape you in front of your family and then kill your family. Like, we're talking about the Taliban here. I 100% agree with you. I don't know how the language about who and what they are changed overnight. They have not changed. They are still the same brutal thugs that they have always been and always will be. So we can't call them anything else but what they are, which is terrorists.
Are you limited now? I'm curious in what you can say, since you're going to be, since you're called back up and you're now going on this new training. Like, are you in the same position that, like Lieutenant Colonel Scheller's in, where you're not allowed to be too critical of the higher ups?
I mean, there's a code of conduct within the military that I'm 100% going to abide by, and I don't even see, for Schiller, is what he said from the position that he was in powerful and compelling? Absolutely. Could he potentially done more good, and to have he stayed in the position and tried to make differences within the rules that exist within military code of conduct? Yeah, I mean, I don't have the Constitution, which I so wholeheartedly believe in and I fight for and I bleed for. Every single one of our beautiful amendments, soldiers aren't afforded the same freedom, especially around the First Amendment. So we have to be very deliberate and careful in what we say.
I know, it's upsetting.